Hi guys, Stephen here, and today we're going to be exploring some IT concepts which you may be familiar with, but perhaps need a bit more context to. So today, this is IT concepts. Do a bit of cursive as well. There we are, beautiful. Yes, with Stephen Sterling. Close enough. Right, let's get started. So, if you're watching this, you may have an interest in IT. Now let's choose some better pictures than that. Let's do writing. You may have an interest in IT. Let's draw a computer. So we all know what this is. We all know what this is. This is a computer. And you got your writing here. Whatever. We're gonna oh no, wait. Yeah, here we are. Got a computer. This is a computer. Okay. Big shiny object. You're probably asking, Stephen, why are you showing me this? This is so stupid. I'm literally using a computer right now. You're probably not, to be honest. You're probably using your phone, but whatever. Now, we all know what a computer is roughly, got a rough understanding of it, but it's a bit more complicated than that, really, when you're spread out into the World Wide Web. Use this. Whoops. A bit more complicated when we start to branch out to the wider internet. Now, you might be familiar with your home network. So, this section here, your little, tell you what, while we're at it, let's have a little house. Forgive me, my drawing skills are really lacking when it comes to this, but work with me. It's going to get better and we're going to see some progress. Apparently, this doesn't know what a child's drawing looks like. Whatever, close enough. This is our home network. Here we are. We're just sitting there, right in the dead center. When we connect out to the internet, it's actually quite complicated. The way you understand it may be something akin to this. Just a squiggly line, especially if you've used something like Cisco Packet Tracer. No offense. No offense to Cisco, that is. Hopefully they don't sue me. But it's actually quite complicated in comparison to this. There is a whole plethora of technologies, of software, of services in between that helps everything to run. And we're going to explore some of that today. So we're going to do what we can to remove some of the fog from this and make this a bit easier to understand. So we'll get rid of this. Don't need that. So here we have the internet. How do we get there? Well, first of all, you've probably got so you got your PC. Let's start from here. So we'll start from your PC, and you've probably got a router or Wi-Fi wireless access point. Let's get rid of this house actually, because it's not a good. Use a box. We all are boxes, don't we? Here we are. Keep it simple. There we are. There's our house. You know, just for you guys, I'm going to throw in a roof in there as well, because why not? Can we get a roof? Yeah, there we are in business. Nice little roof. Make it more of a objet art roof. Yeah, make it a cool roof. There we are. It's a nice little Silicon Valley house. Whatever, close enough. Yeah, close enough. Got our PC, and this will connect to your router. And little router. We can use anything. I really don't care about the specifics. Close enough. It's a microphone, but it's close enough. This is our router. Okay. And this is contained within, let's say, the living room. And we're probably connected to that via radio waves. I certainly am. Not to give too much information away, but we're all connected via wireless frequency, so wireless fidelity. Specific standards of Wi-Fi. I think I'm going to leave that for another time. You've got 802.11, etc. It goes quite granular from there. So we're not going to cover that today. We won't bother. In fact, just for you guys, get rid of there. We're not going to do that today. No one cares. Let's use a different color. We use it for the rest of it. If we come to our router, make it look more like a router. There we are. Router. And that will connect to this bit that admittedly I get a bit confused with, but it gets to the wall, and then from there it will go to either a fiber connection, which will be some sort of connector from inside the house to the outside of the house. And that can either be copper or fiber connection. It really depends on how you set up. I imagine, unless there's some things that I haven't seen before, which let's face it, there probably is, I imagine this is most likely going to be a copper connection until, let me show you something. You've probably seen these outside your house, especially if you lived in the UK. So it goes outside the house, and it doesn't do that actually. It will go up. It will go up the side of the house, and then from there it will go. This is a different color because we're not at the house anymore. Let's use purple. Whatever, close enough. So, drat. Probably seen one of these. Let's get quick at my quick draw skills. Yep, done. Here we are. You've probably seen one of these outside. A large bit of wood with some steps on it. Oh man, still getting used to this platform. A large plank of wood with some little pickets on it. Kind of like this. And you'll have several of them. So they'll be connected to many different buildings nearby. Like that. Now from there, these will all come together. Don't have the specific names of these. I'm just trying to draw the concept for you. So at least different color. Let's use grey again. Why not? All this will travel down a mast, better word for it, and go underground. And generally, you will find a green box. Yeah, we've already used the crappy green. This is a good green. Generally, you will find a green box. Let's use this one for now. We're only drawing lines anyway. Here we are. If it's anywhere like the UK, generally you'll see something like BT OpenReach. So you'll see BT OpenReach. And then from there, the connections will then go underground and along the roads. Use blue. Underground and along the roads. And then from there it gets a bit more complicated, but it goes to the internet basically. Honestly, from there, unless you're a very serious network engineer, of which you probably don't want to be watching this video, that's about as deep as it gets for your home setup. So that's basically how it works. Now, you might have seen something like this. If you're a casual user, or a typical user of Cisco Packet Tracer, you've probably seen something akin to this, where the colors are going to be wrong, but whatever. You use blue cylinder like that. You'll have a router, and you'll have your serial connection. These are used today. I'm not sure how frequently they are used, but they are used. However, this is not the entirety of any connection that you'll see. It's just a way of simplifying very, very complex environment. Here we are, can duplicate. Here we are, you've probably seen that quite a bit. This is basically that. This is at least this much of that. So there's still a bit more to it. Then from there, you'll have the TCP/IP stack and the UDP stack, etc. Really depends on the protocol stack that the individual service that you're using on your computer is using, basically. But we can get into that another time. This is roughly the gist of how networking works on a metropolitan level, so on a street level. And from there, obviously, we get to the internet. Now, there are a few concepts that you need to understand if we're going to learn about how the internet works and about how wide area networks work. So let's do a globe. Let's not do a globe. Keep it simple. Cloud. This is roughly how everyone understands it anyway. We'll go for the cool cloud. So this is the internet. And when you connect to this, it really depends on what you're trying to do. So when you access a website, let's assume that you're going for a website. We'll draw our PC again. No, we won't. We will do our house again because we've already covered this concept. We will do our house. Yeah, even better. There's our house. Pretty cool house, huh? And so we've now connected to the mast, etc. And we've went to BT OpenReach. And just for the sake of clarifying, here we are. We've got BT OpenReach there. So this is the box. Boop, done. Jobs are good on. Now connecting to the internet, etc. There's a few concepts that you'll need. If we're going to get to a website, let's call it www.spud.com. www.spud.com. For purveyors of fine potatoes. How do we get there? Now, this may surprise you. There is a process to it. And what will happen is when you're using your web browser, come back to the computer. When you use your web browser, say Firefox, something like that, personally, I'm using Firefox because why not? Best one. Let's pretend this is Firefox. You will send a web request, and what will happen is your web browser, you will put in a web address www.spud.com into here, and this piece of software here, and it's Firefox, will send a web request. So what it will do it will contact it. It will contact the it will contact the DNS. What it will do is it will contact something known as a. I'm going to type this one: domain name server, or DNS, or DNS. What will happen is on your device, it will have a list of well-known servers to contact. In this case, generally you'll have something like Google. So it'll be like 888. And this is a good helper of ours because what this is going to do is this is going to actually tell us where to find spud.com. So if we leave the network here and yeah, let's do this. So we will send it out of the network through OpenReach, etc., and it goes to the internet. And on the internet, it looks for this IP address here, 8.8.8. Now, we can get quite granular here, so I'm not going to go for the details of how this happens. Just assume that some magic happens here and that manages to locate the location of 8.8.8. And it says it's over here, over at Google. I'm not going to draw the Google symbol, but here we go. We've got the big G, which I think is green. Whatever, we'll go with, yeah, close enough, Google. And then Google will then check its list. So what will happen is it will go to the domain name servers, the top level domain servers on here. And I want something that looks akin to a server. Because why the hell not? That's the one. Yep, there we go. So we go to the top level domain server. And what that will do is it will check a list. Yeah, it looks more like a server if it's chunkier. So you'll have a list. So I have a bunch of IP addresses, list of IP addresses. And what it will have is alongside those IP addresses, you will have a bunch of, so these will be known as A records. And what these do is these will point to a canonical name, also known as a C name. Hopefully, I haven't lost you yet, but it's literally just IP address is known as this. So this is a canonical name here. This is a C name. But the IP address is something like 20. I'm going to really screw this up. So the IP address would be something like, let's say, 207 54401, no, say 3, and then whatever, something like that. And that would be with the port number, assuming that we're going to a secure website, hopefully. So we're going to slap a HTML on the end of there. HTTPS. We're going to a secure version of HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, secure. And because of that, instead of using port 80, this is all done by the web browser, by the way. You don't need to worry about this. Like you literally just you could put in this number and it would do it. The only problem is that if you put in this number, yeah, so if you use the IP address and you don't use the port number, it gets a bit complicated. But it's basically be received by this location, but it will not know what to do with the packets. We can get into that another time. So leave it to the web browser. Don't go into these sort of details yourself unless you're a bit more techy than I am, and then maybe you can tell me. But at the moment, this is all we need to worry about. So it won't do port 80, it will do port 443. 4443, and that will take us to HTTPS. Just this bit here, nothing else. This is just this. That's this location here. Forget this. We don't need to see now. All we need to know is that is this because of this. That's the color scheme's wrong. Whatever. This is the IP address, and this is the name. That's all it's saying. I'll have to come up with a better way of explaining that, but whatever. We're moving forward. So anyway, we've taken a little journey over to Google, and it's told us exactly where we need to go now. Updated our map, as it were. So we're fine now. We know we need to go to here. Need a different color. Choose red. We know we need to go to this one, and we know which IP address to use. So our server's going to use the IP address because he doesn't have a clue what the hell this is, and it's a lie, does know what it is. The networking side of things is going to use the IP address, but the server is going to use the canonical name. So we know where to go now, and we go on our adventure again. So we continue. We've got the destination. We go back to the internet, and we're routed around the information, the internet service providers, and other DNS servers. In fact, that's a very good point. I need to point that out. So we'll go to other DNS servers which might know the way. So they point us also. So this knows the way to get to one location, and then this one goes to the other location. Kind of like this. Up. And then that sends us to another one, etc. I won't spend ages on this, but yeah, little Mona Lisa looking server. There we are. I guess to this one. And she actually knows where we're going, so she knows that it's going to this server here. There's a server at Spud Corp. At Spud Corp, there is a server, and I'm going to be specific because I know you guys want to know this, and so we stuck around. Let's make up a name. I don't know what they would have called it. They could have called it anything. They could have called it Server 01. It really doesn't make any difference, but they could have called it, let's come up with some funky name, XDAL server. No, a bit more fitting. Let's do Bud IS server. Where serve 1. I don't know, 5. Maybe they got many. So you got Spud IS serve 5. And that's the name of this server on their network, full of all their other networking equipment, etc. So when it's to bypass all that, it knows it needs to go to this particular server. This is on the network. They've got their router. Can we get a Pringles can? That's pretty damn close. This is their this is appalling. This is their router. If we make it a bit chunkier, it might work. Yeah, this is their router. This Coke can. So this Coke can is their router. Don't ask why. It's supposed to be like that. And then this will connect to the server. And on that server, you will have, similar to this, you will have a list of we don't need the IP address anymore. We've found the location. We don't need this anymore. In fact, let's get rid of this. We don't need it. No one cares about that. All we want is this. So what we're going to have on there, it might be Linux. Going to get a penguin. I can't draw a penguin. See how good this is. That is not a penguin. Massacre. If this draws a penguin now, this is a legendary piece of technology. I'll take a bird if it's got a bird. Oh my God. Oh my God, we've got a penguin. Well, anyway, brilliant. We've got a penguin. It doesn't look like this, by the way, but whatever. We've got Linux. Yeah, here we are. We've got Linux. I'm certain it is a penguin. If it's not, whatever. You can have a Linux one, or you can have a Windows one. And we know what Windows looks like. Can't get a square. Windows. We all know what Windows looks like, so let's just leave it at that. We all got a couple of windows. Boop, boop, boop. Would have been easy to just do it like this. So keep it simple. Bam, 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 bam. Here, Windows Server. And it will be either one. It really depends on their budget. It depends on certain specifications. It might even be something on Azure. I'm sure that's becoming more and more complicated. But either way, generally the operating systems you'll have will be one of both flavors. It will either be a Linux machine, and this can be something like Debian or Red Hat or etc., or this can be a Windows Server machine, which you've probably come across before if you've been somewhat involved in IT. So this will be on this. This will be on this server here. And what will happen is when connected to this server, there'll be a list of different websites similarly to this. And what we'll do is we'll select this one. So it's like, okay, they've requested this. We go to Internet Information Services, or if we're on Linux, we will go to, I suppose it depends on what stack when I really think about it, because there's various methods of hosting on a Linux machine. Generally, it will be something like LAMP stack. So that would be Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And there are different elements. We won't go into the details of that because that's a bit too much for one video. And I'm sure I've sidetracked quite a bit. So we'll put that aside for now. But I'll come back to that at some stage. But this is pretty much what we need to know. So it will come to one of these. It will come to the operating system, and then from the operating system, it will either go onto Internet Information Systems, IIS, or it will go to whichever service is hosting the website on the Linux device. And this is all happening within this box. Those are all we need to know. So we don't even need these anymore. And we don't need that anymore. So that's all happening within here. And that is the kicker. And as stated, we'll have a list of websites. And on those websites, on those files, you will have a series of files. Might need a better context for this. And it will present those. So what it will do is it will load the series of files related to the website. You'll find this on index.html. And the web server hosting IIS or whichever web service will then serve this back to us at home, and it will go through the same similar process on the way back, all the way back. I believe it will do this. I have to double check that. All the way back to Google, and then it will find out that it needs to come back here. And then from there, what will happen is, and then from there, it'll be fed into Firefox, and it will be presented on your screen, like so. that'll be all, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. That'll be all, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. How do we get a smiley face? That'll be all, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've certainly enjoyed making it. If you'd like to know more, feel free to get in touch with me directly. You can find me on. Feel free to reach out in the comments. If you want to reach out to me directly, feel free to reach out on Stephen at pantherdigital.com. And until then, like and subscribe and have a safe day. Take care. Bye bye.